emerging from a dark period in his life and his career, and under the impression this could be his final film. Martin Scorsese delivered a biopic of boxing legend Jake LaMotta with Raging Bull, a brutal portrait of masculinity, jealousy, and anger. With stark black and white cinematography, technical precision that rivals Citizen Kane, and fight sequences that are more savage and stylized than other boxing films of that era, Martin Scorsese stripped the sport of boxing to its animalistic basics. Rather than focusing on the sport and showcasing its technique, boxing is the side player for LaMotta to channel his insecurities and tumultuous emotions. Outside the ring, Scorsese's streetwise style gives grit and intensity to the story's most intimate moments, making them a realistic and at times all too human counterpart to the distorted perspective seen at the height of the fights. Though it received mixed reviews upon release, it was nominated for 8 Academy Awards that year, including Best Picture, which it lost to Ordinary People. Since its release, countless critics and film journals have showered it with praise, and has regularly been in IMDb's top 250 films of all time. In 1990, the National Film Registry selected it for preservation. On the production end, one legendary aspect of the film is Robert De Niro's physical transformation, in which he gained 60 pounds to play middle-aged Jake LaMotta. This was unconventional for the time and groundbreaking. It also shut down production for months. So I just got the new Criterion edition of Raging Bull. Came in the mail today. So this is actually the 4K and the Blu-ray. Now at this time I don't have a 4K player or a 4K TV, so I'll be judging the Blu-ray. Got the booklet that always comes with the Criterion editions, and we have the 4K and the Blu-ray. Got the classic poster on the front. There's a cool picture inside. As I said before, I always love the essays that come with these Criterion booklets. So we've got our cast and crew, stills from the movie. So this essay is called American Minotaur. Some more stills as well. This is one of the best scenes in the movie here. I have seen this movie several times. I'm going to go give it another watch and then watch all the special features, and I'll get back to you as soon as I've done that. So, just like production on the movie, I also put production on this review on hold for a few months. But back in the summertime when I started this, I did watch the movie a couple times, and I watched all the special features, and yeah, this is definitely stacked with special features, that's for sure. Quite a few of them are also on the 2010 edition Blu-ray. So this includes 3 commentaries. First commentary is with Martin Scorsese and editor Elma Schoonmaker. This was recorded in 1990. Second commentary includes several crew members, including the director of photography Michael Chapman, which was recorded in 2004. The third, and arguably the best, includes the real-life Jake LaMotta, along with his nephew Jason Lustig. Unfortunately, his other nephew Bill Lustig wasn't taking part in this, along with screenwriters Mark Martin and Paul Schrader. Another feature that was also included on the 2010 edition, which is included here, is called Fight Night. It's a 4-part video series. Now there's a couple of new things on here. There's a couple of video essays. One's called Pour Everything In, and the other's called Gloves Off. One major takeaway I had never considered when watching the film in the past is just how equally complex the audio and sound design are to the meticulous visuals. In the essay, Pour Everything In, film critic turns the picture off so you can hear just what's being said, and that shows just how complex and multi-layered the audio is, along with the visuals. I usually tend to think of the more upscale elements of it, such as the huge fight scenes and the club scenes and a lot of the crowd shots. One thing I never think of as much is the streetwise level to it. When I think of Scorsese and his streetwise level, I think more of Taxi Driver or Mean Streets, per se. But there's a lot of that here, too.
I'm gonna get hold of that dog, and I'm gonna eat him for lunch. You hear what I'm saying? You hear me, Larry? Larry! Crazy animal!
Another set of features that are on this edition and on the 2010 edition are 3 programs that focus on Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro's working relationship. There's also a 1981 interview with Kathy Moriarty and the real-life Vicky LaMotta, whom she portrayed. So in my experience as a moviegoer, I'm more familiar with Jake LaMotta because of Raging Bull rather than because I'm a boxing historian, which I'm totally not. So as a result, I've hardly seen any real footage of him, whether it's fights, interviews, anything like that. So I found it interesting to see a 1990 interview with him that's featured on this disc. LaMotta strikes me as a guy who was very transparent later in life and very open to his flaws and how they both hindered and helped him. So this interview features him telling one of my favorite stories I'd heard through the years.
So one day I went there to see it with my ex-wife, and I said to her, I don't like the movie. I said, there's something wrong. I said, was I really like that in the movie? And what do you think she said? I was worse.
Another feature on here I really enjoyed was a 2010 interview with a lot of veteran boxers who sit around at a table remembering Jake LaMotta and his legacy. They all seem giddy and starstruck when talking about Jake LaMotta, so it was just a lot of fun watching these guys gush over his legacy and telling personal stories about him.
He beat the hell out of me a lot of times.
So being a Criterion edition, of course, I don't need to introduce the picture quality, which is stellar. This is the best that this film has ever looked. And of course, the audio quality, as I mentioned, is amazing too. I watched this on probably one of the better sound systems I've ever had, so that could be part of it, but I really noticed just how multi-layered and stylized a lot of the audio is, such as during the fight scenes in particular. Raging Bull has always had a special place for me. It was one of the first Martin Scorsese films I saw as a teenager, and upon watching it I quickly felt it was one of the greatest films I'd ever seen, and I still hold it to high regard now when I think in my head of iconic top-tier, S-tier films. Raging Bull's up there alongside anything else I can think of. As far as Martin Scorsese favorites, my top three for the past decade or so have been Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, and Goodfellas. I'd say Raging Bull, in hindsight, is the one that I perhaps have watched the least. It's not one I sit down and watch regularly compared to something like Goodfellas I can put on anytime, and I'm always in the mood for that. Raging Bull for me has always been a special occasion type of movie. The Godfather's another one like that, another favorite that I don't put on just any time, but it's always a special occasion when I do. Needless to say, if you're at all a fan of Scorsese or Raging Bull, then this 4K Blu-ray is a must-have. On that note, I should note that I did actually review the Blu-ray and not the 4K itself, because I don't yet have a 4K system. But having looked at some pictures offhand, the 4K, of course, looks amazing, the amount of detail that's in it. And the Blu-ray itself was phenomenal. And it is one of the best Blu-rays I've ever purchased.
I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss.